Welcome to the SEWP 5 training video. This section of the videos is concepts and is done as a slide presentation. And there's a second presentation that will go into the websites that will show how these concepts come to life. And the question, of course, to start with is, what is SEWP? The meaning of SEWP is Solutions for Enterprise-Wide Procurement. That is the acronym. It's a multi-award suite of IDIQ, indefinite quantity, indefinite delivery contracts. There are 140 plus contract holders. That number doesn't change. These are actually contracts that were awarded through a competition in May 1st, 2015. That set of contract holders will remain constant through the life of the contract. There are 110 small businesses. Indicates the strong support SEWP has for small businesses, as is further indicated by the fact that well over 80% of the dollars that are flow through the contracts go to small businesses. SEWP is also a government-wide acquisition contract vehicle. NASA, along with NIH through the NITAC contracts and GSA, primarily through the Alliant contracts, are the three GWAC agencies that are authorized by the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, to produce these GWAC vehicles. As a GWAC vehicle, one of the key features is that we are open to all federal agencies. But what makes SEWP unique, we're the only contract vehicle that is actually utilized by every federal agency. We are also a contract vehicle for ICT and audiovisual solutions. This is a very succinct statement of the scope. So if you want to ever think of the scope, if it fits within that terminology, anything in the IT, communications, or AV solutions world will fit within SEWP, and we'll talk more about that next slide. SEWP is also the Program Management Office, and we'll give more information as to what support we provide in a few slides. A key component of understanding SEWP is understanding the scope. It is all of IT, all information technology, hardware, software, and product-based services, networking. This all includes computer, hardware, tablets, appliances, storage, et cetera, all security. Everything on the left side is the categories, the right side are just examples. If something you need to purchase fits within the categories, it doesn't have to be in the examples, it just has to fit the categories to be available on SEWP. Software in the cloud. All software products, all cloud offerings are available through these contracts. And as our mobility and telecommunications, this includes items such as cell phones or microwave devices or satellite communications. It includes cabling. It includes all of the technology that goes with communications and mobility solutions. We also have a full suite of supporting technology. This includes scanners, printers, copiers, and shredders. And it includes both shredders that you can purchase and shredders as a service that you could purchase to have sent out to shred your used equipment. It also includes all the supplies and accessories, including toner and even paper. Under supporting technology, we also include sensors. These are devices that have a data input that go into a device such as an IT system. Health IT is also a major component of SEWP 5. Along with all the above, the other category is audiovisual and teleconferencing and video conferencing support. Here again, any technology falling within that category is within the scope of SEWP. Those are the products, but SEWP is a solutions contract, not just a products contract, so there are a large number of services also available through these contracts. Maintenance and warranty, installation, cabling, site planning, which is any activity prior to the actual purchase of a service or product, training, and finally engineering services. If you're ever unsure if what you require fits within the scope of SEWP, you can certainly send your statement of work or your list of materials to help@SEWP.nasa.gov. We will review and return back to you a decision as to what does and does not fit the scope, or ask more questions to understand what it is you're looking to purchase. That is the essence of the scope of SEWP. What's important about knowing the scope is that SEWP is a dynamic catalog. It is not a static catalog where you go and you say, what's in the catalog? When you use SEWP, you say, what's in scope? If what you want is in scope, then it will be added to the catalog based on your requests. So SEWP is an ever-evolving, ever-changing catalog. We currently have 6,700 plus providers. That's original equipment manufacturers, or original service providers. All the large companies like Cisco and so on are on the contracts, but we also add up to 5 to 10 new companies a day based on the customer requests that come through our various tool sets. We also have millions of products currently on the contract, upwards of 5 million products. But here again, it does not matter if the product you want is already on the contracts or not. What matters is it in scope. You would submit an RFQ, ask for the products or services that you want to have purchased through SEWP. The contract holders will review your request, add whatever they need to add through a set government-reviewed process called a technology refreshment process. If those products and services are approved by this NASA government review, we will then add those products, and you will then be able to obtain a quote from the contract holders. The quotes themselves are verified by SEWP when they come through our system, so to make sure that all items that are quoted are at that time on contract and that they are priced correctly. Note that much as we add 5 to 10 companies a day, we change over 10,000 items every day on our contracts based on the requirements coming in from throughout the federal government. So that's the dynamic part of SEWP. It's the part that has made SEWP the contract vehicle of choice for many customers. Often we'll get the question that you have what we want. Do I have to keep asking over and over again for something to be added? And the answer is no. There are static views. We have a static view through our market research tool. We will go into more detail on that in the second video, but note that the market research tool is a starting point. It combines the ability to search primarily on which companies are currently on the contract and the ability to track what are the companies that you want to add and what are the products that you want to have added to the contract in a way that makes it easy to send out a request for information to our contract holders, asking them to add and reply back with whether or not they will be able to reply to an RFQ once it is submitted. Another way to obtain a static view is to use our quote request tool, ask for a quote, ask for a market research information, and in so doing, you will obtain from the companies a verified list of products and services that will meet your needs, and that then is a static view because that will stay static until that quote is no longer valid. So those are two just general basic ways of doing a static view. A longer way to do one is via the delivery order with options. Is much what it says. It is simply that you can do a delivery order and have options off of that delivery order. For example, you may have licensing that every year you want to have options to recertify and repurchase those licenses. Similarly with maintenance. So it is a recurring known set of requirements that occur at a regular time period that you will then have options to purchase against. The newer version of a static view, and the one that has grown in usage, is agency catalogs. The basic concept of an agency catalog is, while we have this large 5 million plus line item SEWP catalog that changes every day, an agency can come to us, or an organization within an agency can come to us using our tool sets, asking for which products meet a given need, such as printers. And we will then take a snapshot of the printers that meet your needs, and then your agency or organization can purchase from that list. To go into more detail, we'll go to the next slide, in which we list the basic criteria to consider when creating an agency catalog. First and foremost is there a known set of specifications. It's not just an open, vague concept. It is meant to indicate that there is a need that your organization has, and we'll continue with the printer concept. So you may want to have a desktop printer, you may want to have an office printer, you may want to have a high-speed multifunctional device, and you can define what are the requirements. Perhaps there are security requirements, there are speed requirements, there is connectivity requirements. You can set those specifications, send them out, ask which companies can meet those specifications with which products. That is your known set of specifications. You can add, you're not set to those specific products that you select at the beginning, but you can only add within the scope of what you initially asked for. So a printer catalog can contain other printers, but it can't contain laptops. So a catalog is based on a given set of requirements and a definition of what you are looking for. Once you've set up a catalog, it is just set into our system as these are the products and services that meet your needs, and then you can order them whenever it is convenient to you, whenever you need to purchase those items. There is no requirement that there be a set time period to when they are ordered. There's no requirement that you say how much it will be ordered. You will simply just order the number that you need as you need them. You can update, and we recommend that you include the ability to update within your requirement. It simplifies your process. It can be ordered by anybody within your organization at any location, and has many other features. Agency catalog concept requires you to contact us at help@SEWP.nasa.gov so that we can walk you through the initial steps of how to proceed. Once you've done it initially, you will then be able to do further catalogs on your own. But we do ask that if this is a concept that you're interested in, please contact us. So let's switch gears and talk about the FAR for a little bit. So SEWP is as mentioned, is an IDIQ multi-award contract. Because of that, we fall under FAR Part 16.505B. There are several key features to this FAR part. We'll talk about the beginning part, how you order here. Note, first of all, that you are using an existing set of contracts, and therefore all of the pre-award activity has already occurred when the contracts were awarded. This includes business size determination, fiscal responsibility, the DUNS, TIN, and CAGE code are set. All of that is set at the contract level. The NACE code is set, and all other factors that go into a contract. We provide that information to you on our website to view, and therefore you do not have to go off and research on your own. Simply use the information that we provide you. Another feature of using a FAR Part 16 contract is that it is governed by what is called fair opportunity. To put it in context, it is not a competition, it is an opportunity. You do not have to, through the FAR, obtain more than one quote. You simply have to provide opportunity to all of the companies that fall within a given category or group or set aside. The process of how you do fair opportunity is at the CEO's discretion. However, SEWP provides you with a quote request tool. And because in that tool, we built in the steps that are required to do fair opportunity so that you can just easily follow what we provide you. So that is the only recommended method, although you can use other methods to do so. Under the FAR part, it is the best value determination. It could be lowest price technically acceptable, but there are other determinations that you, the customer, can determine to use in your decision making. A few words about sole source versus brand name. Sole source means that you're going to only go to one company and essentially avoid fair opportunity. There are exceptions that allow you to do so. However, we highly recommend, first of all, you read carefully what those exceptions are, determine if they fit your situation, and understand all the documentation requirements that are required. Our recommendation is in general to, rather than doing a sole source, do fair opportunity, and if only one company can reply, you will get one quote back, and at that point in time, you will have a single quote that you can respond to without having to justify a sole source. Brand name is different because you are using a set of contracts in which the brand name can be across multiple contracts. So even if you want to go and do a Dell or HP brand name requirement, you will typically get multiple quotes back, so it is not a sole source. However, if that is a brand name requirement, you will have to create a justification document and include that in your posting if your requirement is going to be for over $30,000. So earlier, we just mentioned fair opportunity and the need to go to a category, group, or set aside, and this slide explains that a little more. While all of the SEWP contracts have the same scope, and as long as what you want fits that scope, it does not matter which group you use, there are a few differences. First, note that Group A was solicited under NACE Code 334111. That is important because it sets a business size, and it allowed us to have certain types of businesses compete within that group. There are a smaller number of companies within Group A and also a smaller number of set-aside options. And so the larger part of SEWP and the one more heavily used is Groups B, C, and D, which is where the value-added resellers primarily reside. There are a large number of set-asides available. So essentially, when using SEWP, it is up to you to decide which group you want to go to based perhaps on market research or quotes received from a previous usage or other information that you have. Select a group, select a set-aside if you want, and then go to all the companies within that group and or set-aside as it will be indicated when you use the quote request tool. A few words about pricing. First, note that in the frequently asked questions section of the SEWP website, you can obtain a full detail on how pricing is determined through the SEWP process. So this is just a summary of some of the key factors, one of which is that the pricing has to be at or below the GSA price if the company has the same product on both contracts. In that case, SEWP fee is lower than the GSA fee, and therefore the price has to be lower. But the key factor that is most often used to determine if the pricing is to compare it to other contracts. Since most of our products are commercial products that are available across many contracts, a check against those contracts to make sure they're all within the same pricing range, unless there is a valid reason otherwise, is one of the key steps in our price checking. In the end of the day, when we allow an item on contract, we have done that review, done the price evaluation, and that sets the contract price. When you, the customer, obtain a quote, you'll often receive a lower price, either because you consolidate it or simply because there's internal competition that will decrease that price based on the contract holder's determinations. At the end of the day, you can also negotiate pricing or question the pricing. And please note that you should question pricing whether it is too high or too low, because if a price is much lower than you expected, there may be something missing in the quote that caused that. And you can question it either directly to the contract holders or utilize the SEWP Program Office, sending us a note to help@SEWP.nasa.gov or giving us a call, and we will be happy to review the pricing and determine if there's an issue that needs to be resolved. So at the contract level, fair and reasonable pricing is set for all products and all fixed price services such as warranty, whereas for labor services, any service that includes a labor rate, a category, or level of effort, the price determination is not set at the contract level. It does have to be determined by the initiator at the RFQ and delivery order/task order level. As mentioned, we verify all items are on contract and priced correctly. We provide that information to our customer as part of the quoting process. You will obtain a quote from the contract holder, and at the same time, there will be a verification file that comes from the SEWP Program Office. If in fact you obtain a quote through our process, you know the first two statements are true. The items are on contract and they are priced correctly. SEWP will not allow a quote to go through if the items are not on contract or if the prices are above the contract price. But we do indicate that also for documentation purposes within the verification file. One area that we supply information for at the line item level for the quote is the level of provider authorization or approval. SEWP does not rely on simply a letter or a statement that a company is authorized. We actually go back and ask the original manufacturer, is this company legitimately utilizing SEWP to provide government with their products or services? And if that is true and is verified by the manufacturer, we provide an A level to that line item. If it is not, there are two other options. The contract holder can indicate that while the manufacturer does not necessarily know who they are and that they are providing these products, there is a third party, either a distributor or team partner, who is providing that verification. This, of course, is more risky than using an approved reseller, but depending on your situation, it may be appropriate for you to allow that verification. Finally, there is an unverified relationship, in which case you carry the highest risk. But if you're only purchasing something that maybe does not need to be concerned about the relationships, then you could purchase from an unverified relationship. So again, within the context of SEWP, you will obtain a verification file that will tell you for each line item what level of verified relationship there is between the contract holder and the original manufacturer or original service provider. You utilize that information to match what your requirements are. Another area that we provide verified information for is the Trade Agreement Act, where we will tell you if an item is compliant, not compliant, or not applicable. Note that if an item is not compliant with the TAA, then you will need to have an exception under FAR Part 25.401 in order to purchase those items. We also provide you with a EP compliance flag that will tell you the level of EP compliance for those appropriate products if you have a need to ensure a energy conservation requirement. Very briefly, go through the support the Program Management Office provides you. As noted, if you have questions about the scope or any other questions about utilizing SEWP, we are there to help you at that point. The quoting itself, through the quote request tool, we provide you with a broad set of tools that assist you in that regard. Once you have obtained your quotes through our system, you can then create a delivery order or a credit card order. or do any mods to those orders. In so doing, they should come and must come to our program office to be verified. We do verify both quotes and orders to make sure they are on contract and priced correctly. And once we have done that verification, we pass that paperwork on to the contract holder for fulfillment. Just a note that we guarantee a one-day turnaround, but on average, it takes an hour or less for us to move from receipt of an order paperwork to verifying and submitting to the contract holder for fulfillment. And once the order has been sent to the contract holder, we continue to review and track the status of that order all the way through delivery and final fulfillment. And there is an order status tool that you may utilize to review all of your past orders, all the paperwork that was included in those orders, and the RFQ that was used to create that order. And of course, at any time, you can send a note to help@SEWP.gov for assistance. Returning to the FAR, once you've created an order and submitted it, there are some FAR features to note. First, from the program office point of view, we do notify contract holders when an order is awarded. However, the program office does not notify companies who got the award outside of the awardee, nor do we tell any companies any information concerning an award other than that an award has been made. That is in part because under the FAR, Part 16, 505B, if your order is under $5.5 million, the government is not required to provide an award notification and is not required to provide any debrief or any further information. We do allow companies to ask you for that information, and it is up to you, the customer, to determine if you wish to provide that information or not, if it is under $5.5 million. We do include an award notification tool within our quoting process that makes it easy for you to provide an award notification. However, again, it is optional. You do not have to do so if you do not wish. If your order is over $5.5 million, then you are required to provide an award notification and are required to provide a debrief if requested. Finally, under FAR Part 16, the protest level. If there is no protest allowed under Subpart 33.1 unless the order itself is outside the scope of the contracts, increases the period of performance of the contracts, such as doing a SEWP 4 or a SEWP 3 order, which of course we would not allow, or increases the maximum value of the contract. The way SEWP operates, that is highly unlikely to occur. Currently, you would have to have an order over $19 billion in order to max out the value of any of our contracts. So the important limit is if you are an agency that is other than NASA, Defense Department, or Coast Guard, you can be protested over $10 million, but essentially cannot for under $10 million, except for those noted reasons. And for the three other agencies, for NASA, Defense, and Coast Guard, the limit is $25 million. So finally, if you have any problems, any questions, any concerns, please know that we are available and happy to take your questions either via phone or during business hours via online chat. Sending a note to help@SEWP.gov will get you assistance at any time. And finally, we do have many training options, including an in-person training. You can send a note to help@SEWP.gov if you want us to come out to your site. And we do have regular webinars that are notated on our website, both regular full trainings and also specific topic webinars that occur. And finally, if you happen to be attending the National Contract Management Association World Congress that occurs every summer, there is on the last day of that event a SEWP forum that you can obtain more information for at our website. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.